Good morning, beloveds. I have Gabby in here, so if you hear her, she has no inside voice. And I don't know what to do with my hair today. So, you saw it yesterday where she had it in those ringlets, and so I finally combed them out, and this is what they look like today. They looked really good yesterday. Today, they're frizzy. She said my hair was pretty dry, though, so. All right. Let's get on with this. Okay, it is April 7th. Our title is The Essential Doris Jones. Our author is Doris Jones, and this is from her memorial program in December of 2008. Our lives evolve because it is the nature of the universe. So get out of the way and allow yourself to develop. Out of doubt comes great wisdom. Feelings are built in guides. Race consciousness is mostly unconscious. To the degree we buy into it, it affects our beliefs. We get what we want when we're ready to receive it. To make changes, we must own our life the way it is. Oneness. Think of a pot of stew that needs more salt. Your old beliefs have run your life long enough. All spiritual truths give us permission to trust. Don't ignore fear. It is there for a reason. Substitute consciousness for chemicals. Substitute consciousness for chemicals. Yeah, substitute consciousness for chemicals. What was that fear intending to show you? There is no way you can salt part of the stew. God is not finished with me, and I am not finished with God. So what that reminds me of is when I was when I was graduating from ministerial school. Pardon me while I fuss with the angle. When I was graduating from ministerial school, there were 3 of us. And since there were 3 of us, what they decided to do was let us introduce each other. So it was interesting. I got to introduce Sherry, and Sherry has lots of those little sayings like that. My favorite one that I can always remember, she has 2 that I really like. I can organize a plate of spaghetti, and I'd rather know it and not need it than need it and not know it. But that's what this reminds me of. And it's all those little things that, and I'm sure Jessie has bunches of them, and I could go back through my notes and pull bunches of them. They're just those little bits of wisdom that our life, that we've come up with that make our life make sense. And I think there's a couple of them where maybe I shortened them too much, because she says, don't ignore fear. It's there for a reason. Substitute consciousness for chemicals. What was that fear intending to show you? Okay. And it's the truth. You know, fear, there's a quote, and the movie that it's from is awful. It's a Will Smith movie. I don't remember the name of the movie, but you can probably Google it, because it was one he was in with one of his sons. He at one point he turns to his son and he says, "Don't mistake me. The fear is real, or the danger is real, but fear is a choice." Okay, and so that's what Doris Jones reminds me of when she says that. It's like, look, when we feel fear, there are a cascade of chemical reactions that happen in our body. And when we don't do anything about that, they actually have a very negative impact on our body. Our blood sugar spikes, our oxygen spikes, our adrenaline spikes, all of which have pretty negative effects on the body if they happen all of the time. And so she says, substitute consciousness for chemicals. Okay, which is what I think it is. What is the fear trying to tell you? And David Bruner asked that question not too long ago either. And I was going to respond to it, and then I never found it again. So what is but that's the important thing. It's like when fear happens, especially if it's in a place where we are arguably safe, we are not in immediate physical danger. Like if we're in immediate physical danger, then that fear is telling you to get out and you should do that. But like if the fear crops up and we are not in immediate physical danger, one of the best things that we can do is, as she says, substitute consciousness for chemicals. We need to look that fear in the face and go, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? And what do I need to do about it? Okay? Substitute consciousness for chemicals. I'm reading a book right now by a doctor, and he's an integrative medicine doctor, and it's about autoimmunes. And he kind of has that same same idea. It's like in his section on rest, he talks about mindfulness, because a lot of the times fear is exactly that. We have not been paying attention. And then we bump up into a situation and we're like, if we had been paying attention, if we had been mindful about the situation, we would have either seen it coming and cut it off a long time ago before we hit that fear, or, mostly that, mindfulness, substitute consciousness. And if you look at, and I've said it before, if there's any particular drum beat to new thought, science of mind being among the candidates of new thought, it's consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. Ernest Holmes talks about consciousness. It's up to us to be conscious of what is going on around us, and more importantly, what's going on inside of us. Because she mentioned race consciousness, all right? She did mention it at least twice, the race consciousness. Race consciousness is mostly unconscious, all right? To the degree that we buy into it, it affects our beliefs. We get what we want when we're ready to receive it. So that's just it. It's race consciousness is unconscious. It's all of those things that we have been told that are true. And maybe on one level they are true, but the level that they're true on is with the lowercase t. They aren't necessarily true on the level of the capital T. And so that's one of the things that we have to be aware of, okay? Is this true on the capital T, or is it true on the lowercase t? Is it true in the uppercase reality, or is it true in the lowercase reality? And fear actually is one of those things where it'd be a good idea to go and look at that, And that's why I said, if you're not in immediate physical danger, because by God, if you're in immediate physical danger, get out. Then you can examine all of the wherewithal. But most of the time, when fear crops up, and I know this because I have been diagnosed with anxiety. I'm talking to a customer then this is a previous job. There's a counter between me and the customer, and all of a sudden I'm starting to have a panic attack. This customer can't do anything to me. This customer is not threatening me in any way. Where is this fear coming from? Who knows? Fortunately, I was able to get through that situation without having a full-blown panic attack. But it was one of those situations where I kind of looked at my panic attacks and went, and then when I did finally have a full-blown panic attack where they thought I was having a heart attack, and they were like, let us call an ambulance. And I was like, you know what? I really need to get this under control. And a few years later, I did, At the time, I was taking a medication, and when I had that panic attack, I was like, yeah, no. And, that was, when was that? That may have been a different experience, because there was another time where I had a panic attack and called my doctor the next day, because the person who witnessed the panic attack, I looked at her and I said, look, I'm out of control, and I'll call my doctor. My doctor doubled the medication dose. And then a year later, I was able to get off the medication, but that required lifestyle changes, diet changes, and honestly, a job change. So, because in that case, part of the fear that I was dealing with was my job. So I changed jobs. consciousness, consciousness, consciousness. I wasn't happy in my job, which is what we talked about yesterday, the work of thy hands. If you are not happy in your job and you have the ability to change, then maybe you should do so, especially if you are dealing with fear. So, our lives evolve because it is the nature of the universe. So get out of the way and allow yourself to develop. How many of us are constantly in our own way as things are unfolding? There is a way of being mindful. There's a way of being conscious and a way of getting out of our own way so that we can see what's actually going on. And sometimes it's a good idea to step back and look. When we get a little too controlling, then life starts to happen sideways because we're in our own way. Sometimes it is a good idea to get out of the way and see what's actually going on. Step back. And she's right. Feelings are built-in guides. Okay, so she says this oneness. Think of a pot of stew that needs more salt. And then there's a bunch of lines in between it. And then she said, there's no way you can salt part of the stew. Which goes back to what Ernest Holmes says, and Jesse says it on a somewhat regular basis. When you treat for something, you have to be willing to have everybody in the world have what you want. Okay? You can't leave anybody out. That's not the way oneness works. And that's not the way this works. You can't salt part of the stew. What's good for you is going to be good for everybody. So it's like, whatever good you want, you got to be willing to want it for your worst enemy. Now, I hope you don't have a worst enemy. I hope you don't have any enemies at all, but you know what I mean. There are just people that rub us the wrong way that we don't get along with. It's not that we hate them. It's just like, okay, you know what? You continue on your way, I'll continue on my way. But when I treat for good for myself, I got to know those people that I don't particularly, that I don't get along with. I want the same good for them too. I want them to know that they are the beloved expression of the divine and that they have all of their needs met too. That's the way oneness works. You can't salt part of the stew. Love that. All right. And she ends by saying, God is not finished with me and I'm not finished with God. Now, I'm going to remind you that all of those, and I didn't even touch all of them because they're all wonderful and pithy and amazing. And if any of them strike you, please use them as your affirmation. But that last line, I'm going to remind you, this was in her memorial program. That's why it's called the Essential Doris Jones. God is not finished with me and I am not finished with God. Okay? Because there's no disconnect. You live your life within God. I live my life within God. Once this current material existence is up, then there's something else after this. God isn't finished with us. And we're not finished with God because we live our life within God, which is also nice when you think about it, is you can't judge what's outside of you. That means God can't judge us. That takes a whole lot of pressure off. So God isn't finished with you, nor are you finished with God. That is one of the things about this life, is that we are learning to be better partners. God is the best partner we could ask for. The divine is the best partner we could ask for. We, on the other hand, may have some work to do. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is exactly that. That is what this life is about, learning to be better partners with the divine. And all the divine is waiting for us to do is to catch up. So that's the mission today. The other mission is the same mission that we get every day, which is the mission of doing something loving for ourselves, kind for ourselves, compassionate for ourselves. Okay? What does that look like? It can look like anything you want. It can be one thing. It can be three things. Ideally, in the long run, it becomes all of the things, so that everything you do is loving, kind, and compassionate for yourself and others. I say it every day because it's the spiritual practice of self-care. We do live lives of service, no matter what we do. in some capacity, we do find ourselves in service to others. And we can't pour from an empty cup. So it's extremely important for us to take care of ourselves. You are your own best test subject when it comes to loving, kind, and compassionate. But most importantly, you deserve your own love, you deserve your own kindness, you deserve your own compassion. Okay? So practice on yourself. Make sure occasionally you eat dessert first. Make sure that you make room for joy. Do all of that. Let me remind you just a couple of housekeeping things, that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark, and I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. One of the easiest ways that you can support the center is by like, share, follow, subscribe, do all that, stuff with the social medias. All it costs you is a click. So please feel free to do that. And I remember that I haven't done the Instagram post, so I need to do that. So I need to wrap this up and go do that. So I want to remind you, also, if you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you on the constant contact, and then you'll know what's going on with the center, whether I do or not, and the hot links are hot. Okay? It's one email a week. It's a real person doing it. He ain't got time for more than that. All right. So that's that. Yep. I guess I'm at the part where I get to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a sunny day, and enjoy this beautiful day while we have it day. A get ready for the eclipse tomorrow day. A take a break day, a get some stuff done day, a whatever kind of day you need to have day. Make sure you get some rest day. It is Sunday in 2024 at least. A good day, and if that's too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. Or, as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. I do need to go. I got a couple of things I need to do before I head off to the center for service. So I'm going to remind you to explore the truth of your being. Peel back the layers of everything you've been told about yourself. I'm a big believer in that. And get to know who God knows you to be. Get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because this is the only promise I can make you. The only promise I can make you. The person that the divine knows you to be is good. From there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds, I'm going to move into the process of my day. Take care of yourself. Oh, I'm going to remind you. 1, we do have an amazing service coming up for you at 11. We have a new series started, which is the Facebook post that I need to get up. 2, Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.